Before I say any further words, I'd like to just give a shout out to our fellow schoolmate, Rob Sebecki, who just yesterday summited Mount Everest. So as student greeter, one of my responsibilities is to welcome you all here. So here goes. Greetings faculty, family, friends, and Porva, and welcome to the commencement ceremony for the class of 2012. All right, so now that I've got that out of the way, I might as well say a few words about commencement. It strikes me as kind of a funny ceremony. It's got an oddly euphemistic name, and I've always found it funny that in academia, our utmost formal uniforms, our caps and gowns, seem designed to make us look ridiculous. Trust me, guys, you look really silly. I still like it, though. It's a tradition that we've shared with previous classes, as well as with students the world over, and I find that connection comforting. We talk a lot about breaking tradition at Olin. Much of our promotional material highlights our wealth of project-based courses, our lack of departments or tenure, and our heavy focus on teamwork, all departures from the norm. Within Olin, things are constantly changing, and I can guarantee that the experience I and my fellow classmates have had is not the same one the incoming class of 2016 will have. I can't think of a single year here that the first year curriculum didn't change pretty radically, and I kind of wish I could try it again just to see how it's developed. Our feedback culture that enables this kind of revision is one of our biggest breaks from tradition. Other schools may try to respond to suggestions from students and educators, but nobody has a time constant quite as small as Olin's. This year, our class changed the scope design review. It's hard to say if we fixed it, but it was certainly broken, and I think it's better now. Some of the students and soon-to-be graduates in this audience have been in classes that changed structure midway through the semester as a result of student input. Olin has demonstrated that when we integrate students into the process of developing and improving a class, we can bring our error down to 0. A word of advice to our rising sophomores: no matter what they told you during ModCon and real-world measurements, I promise positive feedback can be just as valuable as negative. So Olin's constant adjustment and disregard for the status quo is what makes it such a special and impressive place. As the 7th class to graduate, ours was the 7th worst Olin education. And if the school maintains its habit of changing things up, I fully expect the trend of improvement to continue. I've spoken thus far about Olin's love of breaking traditions, but I think there is another very important and often overlooked element of our culture, our time-honored tradition of making new ones. Most of the students in this audience have participated in California Day. Some of you have participated in the running of the cheese. The class of 2012 has a few traditions of our own. We've held a gift exchange every year before winter break, an event so successful that other classes have started emulating it. We've also maintained a tradition of winning every single class competition we participate in, a custom other classes have yet to match, but for what it's worth, I think you guys will stand a better shot next year. It seems that at such a young and small school, it doesn't take much to start a tradition. Take an event and slap first semi-annual on the front and you're done. Sometimes it really is that easy. We probably have the highest number of clubs per capita of any school in the country. Some of them have grown and thrived, becoming essentially Olin institutions. Some of them have disappeared and are occasionally revived, and others still have reached a happy, sustained equilibrium. Only at Olin is it so easy to create a club, and I think it's indicative of a larger phenomenon integral to Olin's culture. Sometimes tradition can be a restraint, but it often means support, which is exactly what Olin gives us. We're given the resources to build something, we have the talent to develop it, and we're surrounded by people with the enthusiasm to keep it going. Sometimes building a tradition is a more challenging endeavor. It can take months of hard work and planning to build the structure to maintain an institution into the future. I'm sure the partner class learned as many lessons designing the Olin culture and curriculum as they did experiencing it. Our class has started its own fair share of endeavors. Members of the class of 2012 designed the Grand Challenge Scholars Program, which is endorsed by the National Academy of Engineering. We've forged new exchange relationships with foreign schools, and ours was the first class to see the fruits of Olin's partnership with the University of Illinois. As the first class to take affordable design and entrepreneurship as a capstone, we've made connections and business relations with social innovators across the world. These are some of the frameworks that we've started from the ground up, but oftentimes making a new tradition means breaking the old one. In order to build the support and structure a tradition needs, you must first re-examine the strength of your foundation. For example, the constitution of our student government is not what it once was. The partners wrote one version expecting it to last, but it was completely rewritten thanks in no small part to the contributions of members of the class of 2012. This year, we introduced a clause into our honor code saying that it will expire next April. We did this not for the sake of getting rid of the old honor code, but to give the school the motivation and the time to write a new one. I envy the class of 2016 who, upon entering Olin for their first year, will be given an opportunity to contribute immensely to a document that helps define our culture. Next year's student body will reevaluate what makes our culture unique, and in doing so will help guide future classes. At the same time, by rewriting the code, we have set a precedent proving that we are open to change. I think this is one of Olin's most valuable lessons: to always keep a critical eye on the traditions and practices we uphold, and try to lay down new groundwork for our successors to follow. To call Olin non-traditional is to sell ourselves short. We're not breaking tradition for the sake of change. We're building the tradition for the future. This school is important, but when the Olin Foundation created it, their goal was not to educate 300 billion students at a time. It was to develop the new model of engineering education and show to the world that it works. We're already underway with our connections with schools like Stanford and UIUC, and I look forward to the day when it's standard for engineering students to be given the education custom-made at Olin. I hope Olin always maintains its status as an incubator, a place to evaluate traditions and develop them further. Thus far at Olin, we've certainly broken the mold, but I've got a lot of stock in the belief that we can make a new one. Thank you.